You're listening to Community Voice. Good morning. I'm your host, Keith Parris. Good morning.
No, because I just pictured the alligator.
Oh, that's politically incorrect now. We cannot make fun of people's disabilities.
I thought about you this morning or yesterday.
What?
I came across a picture, an inappropriate picture that I had sent Kia because he had made me. And really, I'm saying it wrong. We were here in the studio. Keon was bothering me. My hands made gestures. He took a picture of it. And he sent it to me. He said, "Yeah, I should post this Blake on Facebook because it is inappropriate."
It's crazy. I use I go to the Cousins on 68th and State, and I swear to God.
You mean the bougie one over there?
You gonna float? I swear for white Jesus. There's this dude. He is Keon's son.
He looked like him.
He work at the store.
Got the beard. Only thing he got here, got the beard. You know, he got one leg a little bit longer than the other. You know, and he had that whole thing. So the order got messed up. This gave him a chance to jump on the grill because he wouldn't jump on the grill. He jumped up. Now he did hook up that cheesesteak. Man, he put half a cow in that cheesesteak because he had messed it up. And I'm like, man, you look so much like Keon. Oh man.
Well, I said this, and I'm get out your way, but I said this morning. Yesterday, a kid at a youth agency that I was at yesterday was messing with my cell phone. And when he gave it back to me, you know, I just put it in my purse and I went on. I must have hit my phone by accident. And this is what I heard when I hit my phone.
Forever and a day, ever and a day.
I almost had a heart attack. So for folks that you know new to the show, that's Keon's voice. But when I tell you, I like jumped and I looked at my phone, and he actually was singing that to me because he was irritating me again, and we were arguing, and he was saying he was gonna keep irritating me forever and a day, and so this boy has been top of mind all for the last 24 hours.
You know,
it's funny that you came in. And
I drove past the Atkinson Triangle, and I had to ask myself the question: where are we in renaming that park? And I think that maybe some phone calls, and this is my triflingness, some phone calls should be made because, yeah, we should.
I think though, wasn't there discussion about what he would have wanted?
Like now, it matters what he wanted.
I mean, but no, because he truly loved Atkinson.
Right.
Like there was a great amount, and I'm not saying this one way or the other. I'm just saying I know when he talked about it, just saying Atkinson was a source of pride for him. Mm-hmm. And so while his ego would love that somebody named the park after him, because he was gifted and talented.
Without question.
I wonder, I honestly wonder where he would have been on a park rename. I'm not sure. But you feel like you know?
You remember when he got the Black Excellence Award? He went all out.
He was very proud of his award.
He sure he was. He went all out.
He
proud. Talking to me now. Normally he don't get no advice from me. But yeah, man, I need to hook up, man. I got to get this. Oh, so now you want some fashion tips from me?
He was very proud of getting.
Yeah, he was very proud.
So
try to be all like he was all humble.
But Atkinson is in the DNA, though, man.
I know, but I think he really. And you know, the crazy thing was, and Keon them, they were on the other side of Keith Avenue, and they walked up to Atkinson Park.
And I think like taking that name, you know, it's almost like you lose something that was so important to him.
Well, you don't think? Okay.
Because I mean, I'm just saying
So why won't they just take a part of the park and just rename it?
Yeah.
Keon's Corner or something.
Keon's Corner.
I don't know.
No,
Name it something. I mean, just name it something. To just put Keon's name on it, but keep.
That's what's gotten Keon in trouble with over there by that liquor store. Those was his boys.
It was
because they get loud.
Yep.
Keon said, "I'll be right back." And
Yep.
he waddle right on over there and come back, and he shut him down.
Hey, but this.
I'm gonna tell you right now, he would not appreciate the characterization of wobbly. Yeah, y'all would be fighting as soon as he came back up in here.
Yeah,
I heard
Keon. Something else. Didn't I hear him say something about
His
one leg shorter than the other?
Yeah, one leg short. Yeah, oh yeah.
And that was an old football injury.
Yeah, but he still has something to say. Yeah, see how you talk.
Let me do this. Kennedy, the book she read for Juneteenth.
Yes.
Atlas also has that book.
Yes.
So tell me about Juneteenth. To the point, Rhonda has her tomorrow. She want to make the red drink.
The red drink, the hibiscus drink.
I don't know what
Which
it's
one
going to be.
Because there is a hibiscus tea that's associated with Juneteenth.
Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone in the studio.
Good morning.
Keon Jackson Malone, he was a very good friend of mine. Matter of fact, this is Mr. Westmoreland. He was the youngest friend that I have, that I had at the time. And this man was very, very passionate about the community and very passionate about making things happen. I knew where his heart was. I knew where he wanted to go with the community. In regards to Atkinson Park, I think it would be very appropriate to name that park after him. This man was a genius. He was on a much higher level than a lot of people his age. And anything I could do to contribute to having that park named after him, reach out and let me know. Thank you.
Well, there are county supervisors listening. I just heard from one of them. And so that is a county supervisor conversation district.
Is that Priscilla?
Yeah, I think that's Priscilla Cox. But yeah, there are some folks listening.
Yeah, he always thought he was above.
He was. I can say that he's not sitting here. Like, and I'm just gonna keep referencing it. Oh, some stuff he wasn't above nobody. He was a fool. He was quite below. Oh, some stuff. Because the fights, man, the fights. If me and him that argue about that damn vaccine, oh my God, I swear to God, we was about to not be working together about that COVID vaccine.
Man,
every chance he got, he tried to punch me in my jaw on that COVID vaccine.
Every host had. You get ready to get fired. Every host had that you get ready to get fired moment, right? I mean, it'd be like, okay, all right,
here we go.
Because I know one time Michelle kept saying, all right, but no, you think he fall back?
He kept going.
No, he kept going. Michelle said, all right.
All right. As soon as we got the commercial, I'll go punch the fire out of here. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I would hit dude like, oh my God, keep on talking. I will definitely say,
I'm gonna fall back.
He ain't gonna
30 seconds later, he right back.
No, he just will speak to me for 3 days.
I love that. I love the silence when he come in. He ain't say nothing to you.
All of a sudden, he's so busy, he got so much work to do.
The funny part was listening to it. If he's not talking, yeah, they spatting.
Yeah, he mad.
They mad.
He
He
mad.
probably got something.
Everybody would be glad when he get mad. Because that means he'll shut up.
Yeah.
I can have a show. But he would come in. Oh, he just have. I knew when he was gonna speak to me because he have all these papers laid out.
The Post-its.
Like, no.
He's sitting up there arranging it. He got
Oh my God!
Oh,
like,
he mad. He mad.
Such a baby man. He the toughest thing in the city.
Little
But he
glasses
was a
hanging off
baby.
his eyes. He ain't paying me no attention.
And then, but then I just purposely, because I knew certain things. If I talked about him, it was gonna kill him. He was just burning. He was gonna get. He would just try to act like he didn't hear me. And then we come back from commercial break. Don't reach for the mic. Don't reach for the mic now. But I will just say this, and I've said this 100 times. What that boy did musically,
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
No, seriously, I actually have a story about Keon because when I met Keon when I was living on Accent years ago, and when he had the high top fade and things like that, and he was in,
Thank God I missed that whole period.
Oh man, hilarious.
I was when he was a rapper.
Yep. So that's how I
Mr.
had
Grass.
Yep.
Mr. Grass.
So that's how I actually met him. Was on Accent, and through music, he found out that I did music. So we linked in and locked in, and been locked in for years. So every time I see him, Ryder, how you doing? And Keon, what's up, man? So we'll go hang and talk about music. So he plugged me with a couple of people that, man, that needed movie scores and things like that, man, that I, sat down and talked with people. But Keon, before he passed, man, he sat in my car.
I'm glad it wasn't after he passed.
No, hold on, man.
Was he rapping?
No, Keon sat in my car that we was at his auntie's event.
We know it was before he passed. Was y'all smoking and talking about God?
Was he only sitting in the car?
Hold on, brothers.
Talking about God.
First of all, I don't smoke in my car. I don't smoke.
That's what you was doing.
I'm talking about Debo. Secondly, we was talking about music. I don't smoke nothing in my car.
Okay.
Nothing.
In the car.
In the car.
In the car.
Anyway, we
sat
sat and talked about music. We was at his auntie's event off of Brown Deer. We sat and talked about music. And what surprised me, because I always knew Keon could sing, but he sang this Teddy Pendergraft song. And this dude blew my mind right there because he sounded exactly like Teddy. And I told him right there because we was actually gonna hook up and do something. So I told him, I said, man, I want to have you come and grace my stage. And he was like, man, I'll get the bubble guts, man. I'll be up there scared. I was like, Keon, you got it. We sat and talked. Not that next day, but that Monday when I got here is when all of the information came out. And that just broke me because I was like, I just had the conversation with him at his auntie's event on Brown Deer. He just so happened to show up. I didn't even know it was auntie. They called and hired me for this event. I'm setting up and here he come walking in. And I'm like, wow, man.
I talked to him Thursday because he was going to do music for my mom's birthday party.
Wow.
And I said, Nick, I just need some music. I'm still on you that you didn't quite understand the concept of the jazz show. That was the funkiest jazz show. Every morning, I'm like, dude, you kind of want to.
I mean, but it was all about style, though. It was all about what you saw. But yeah,
and whenever I could drop somebody on him that he never heard of, put him up on it. He come back, and y'all know, y'all heard the debates, and one day in his frustration,
arguments,
his frustration, he mumbled under his breath, yeah, I'd never join the church you pastor. And I mumbled under my breath, I wouldn't want you at a church I pastor. You ain't hurt my feelings. What you try to hurt my feelings. But I told Michelle we were I don't know what happened. Oh, we talked about God and religion. Remember I told you that. And man, Break Keon came around the corner like he get ready to fight. I know he get ready to fight over Jesus.
Yeah. Yes. That's why it was appropriate what you said at the funeral.
Yeah.
Keon didn't believe
I was a Christian.
But no, we did. Me and Keisha had a moment. We both happened to be sitting at the kitchen table late last night, and I saw her staring at the chair, and I knew, but I wasn't sure. And I said, "What's up? You good?" She said, "He sat there. Wasn't invited. You'll just hear the doorbell ring. Open the door." And come in with his backpack, kicking shoes off, going in the refrigerator, making sandwiches, or he bring his own. And ain't nobody invite you over here, and just sit down and do his work on his computer. Not even engage us, and then get done doing his work, and then be like, "All right, y'all take it easy."
But didn't he do the photos for the '73 reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did.
It's crazy. I'm saying, looking at this, that he sent.
Yeah.
He sent me his music before he passed. August.
Oh, that's
4th.
when he was down in Atlanta.
Yeah, so he sent me. He was like, "I want you to check out my music." This was August 4th, Sunday, August 4th, at like 7:44 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to say this. I think this is so appropriate. African culture says that as long as we speak the name of our departed, they never die. And we still speak this Negro's name. You know, I mean,
I told you though, his name will not fall off my face
man,
on your iPhone.
man,
If you call people so much, when you pull it up your thing, there is a bubble on text messages with the people you text the most often.
Right.
So there go Lena. Wonder why. Jesus, can't get rid of her. And then my brother and Keon's name. And I'm like, I ain't talked to this boy in almost a year. It will not drop down from my faves on text messages.
Let me do a Lena story. So my mother, we were at WGLB,
Okay.
and my mother would do these live broadcasts from Columbia Park.
From
And-
Columbia Park.
Yeah,
Where's Columbia Park?
right in back of Metropolitan. That's
Oh,
Columbia. Columbia's
okay.
where from. So, so we got the set up and we going. I think Jackie's dad was still alive, Bobby. So we at the table and a group of kids over. They having a great time. Oh man, they having a great time. They loud. So now it's filtering over. Lena said, "I'll be right back." You know, she did that walk over there. 2 minutes later, she came back. She shut those kids down. And I'm worried, like, you know, they don't know who you are. Lena went over, do. Next thing I know, it was quiet. I don't know what she said to
Well, I'm
him.
surprised she didn't go over there and get involved, because if it was some kid foolishness, she'd be right in the center of it. When they did National Night Out and they had the dunking machine and people got to dunk Lena, the line was so long. the line. The police was dunking Lena. The line was so long. And she couldn't even hardly get out before she was going right back in. Man, they was tearing. They were, I said, ooh.
He's like, ooh.
They felt like, Lena Taylor in the dunking booth? Oh.
I want parts of that. I want in. Run that. Come on, run
They
that.
was wearing that Negro out. Did you hear me?
And
I
they chattering busting.
Everybody, come get yours.
Yeah.
Come get yours.
Like,
I know you've been waiting.
it was all these other activity stations where nobody had to.
They wanted that.
They wanted Lena. I said, ooh, I don't know.
No, you know, and it's funny
I don't
with
know if
those
this is
nights out
good.
because they do that dunking. We do one out at Evangel Church. I think that's District
Oh.
5-4, whatever
What's
it
the name
is.
of the church?
Evangel,
Evangel.
right up the street from Christian Faith. There's Assemblies of
Oh,
God
yeah,
Church.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Evangel,
yeah.
And man,
Yeah.
when like a sergeant gets up there, even the officers are
Oh, yeah, that lie.
that lie be like, I don't understand the concept. You ain't got to worry about me getting up there. I got
Oh, never. Man,
we got
people would come just punch my lever. They wouldn't even throw the ball. They're just
bringing
like,
extra water. Order the water truck.
Hey, they're going to bring more buckets and add more buckets to shell water.
see,
Go on and put her under.
nah.
It burns!
Throw some holy water in there.
That's what we do.
Throw some holy water in there.
No! We got these. Are they calling? Is it? Oh, he's coming. Okay. Caller, welcome to the program.
You say, Debo, you still on the radio.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing? My name is Brandon Triggs.
Hey, Brandon.
I work with the brother Keon in the community
Uh-huh.
every day. If you check back at his old post, you'll see he said we were his main partner at Atkinson Park.
Mhm.
I hosted the Man Show with him and D. Shay and Ray Mendoza
Okay.
for a few months. And like we always talked about the renaming of Atkinson Park, and he always was adamant on not changing the name of Atkinson. After they changed the name of Lindbergh Park,
Mhm.
he was adamant on keeping Atkinson the same. He didn't want that. That was something he didn't want. He wanted a shelter at the park. He wanted some benches at the park, and he wanted a building to continue on what he was doing at the park for when the weather was bad and things like that. He wanted an indoor space.
Right. And shout
So
out
we
to the
worked with the
village
Parris Foundation to facilitate the shelter that he wanted and the benches and a memorial with a plaque in his name. Also, they taken a poll in the community. The community said no to the renaming of the street and the park also.
Okay.
So we went with the memorial that he wanted.
Okay.
So, I mean, a lot of people are pushing, and I know they think that, but we're pushing for something that the brother, we're trying to uphold his wishes.
Okay. That's
Well, that was just my only comment, man.
okay. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Yeah, well, you know, they should have, first of all, they should have never named Lindbergh Park Lindbergh Park.
Yeah.
Just based on Charles Lindbergh. But you got to understand, there was a big German population here.
Yeah.
And they had something called the book. The books were basically American Nazis who supported the Nazi regime in Germany. And Charles Lindbergh. Is it?
Lake WNOV started?
Oh man, I parked up the way.
That's a pond right now. Right. Goldfish is out there.
So anyway, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. And we're, man, very honored to have in studio with us a civil rights champion, lawyer, um, based on what Debo just did. You must have started advertising when lawyers could, because for a long time, lawyers could not advertise, right?
Yeah, we were the second one in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
right after Havish.
Attorney Thomas
Then came
Jacobson.
Jacobson.
Yeah, who's here. He's the author of the book Underdog Against All Odds, The Fight for Justice. Man, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be
Oh
here.
man, it's an honor having you here. You're so much a part of the history of Milwaukee. Um, we were just talking about how the Lindbergh Park should have never been Lindbergh Park, based on the politics of Charles Lindbergh and what was going on here. But you were part of, was it 1938? Was that the USS?
Yeah,
St.
it
Louis?
happened in November of 19. Well, the St. Louis voyage, it was in May of 1939 that we had to flee Nazi Germany. My father had, after Kristallnacht, that was the night that the Nazis rampaged all the German cities and went after the Jew commercial establishments, individual people, that kind of thing. Next morning, they arrested between 16 and 60 all the Jewish men. And that's knock on the door. Gestapo was there, the SS. Mother answered the door. I was a 6-month baby at the time. And the SS says, you got 10 minutes. You're the head of the household, my father, he's going to be arrested. And 10 minutes later, out they marched him. And she saw him go down right toward the railroad station, and had no clue what was going on. Had to figure out what was happening. And she went to the Gestapo, and found out that what they claimed, they arrested him for his own protection. And after 2 months in the concentration camp, and let him out, and they told him you got 90 days to get out of Germany, or else you'll be back in concentration camp, and it'll be a lot worse than the first time around. So we had to flee if we expected to survive. And that's when we got on the St. Louis. It's the boat that took us. We were supposed to be going to Cuba. We were on the waiting list to get into the United States. We had already applied to try and get in 1935 when it was really bad in Nazi Germany already. And what happened then, we booked the passage and headed toward Cuba. When we got to Cuba, they wouldn't let us land. They claimed that we had a tourist visa, not a regular visa. Somebody there that was getting rid of visas in Cuba was ripping everybody off, and they wouldn't honor that visa, and they wouldn't let us land. So off we went toward the United States. We tried to get amnesty and get in the United States, and they wouldn't let us in. And then we went to Canada, and they wouldn't let us in. So we were turned away from Cuba. We were turned away from the U.S., turned away from Canada, and we were out headed toward Germany again, where my dad would have been thrown into the concentration camp, probably gassed at Auschwitz if we hadn't gotten out. Fortunately, 4 countries took the Jews that were on the St. Louis. There were 927 Jews on the St. Louis, and they divided us up. We ended up in Holland, and then we eventually were able to leave. Our number came up, so we get in the United States in November of 1939, and we booked passage in February 1940, and that's when we came. We had sponsors here from Milwaukee. That's why we came to Milwaukee, and that's where I was raised until I went off to Madison College and that kind of thing.
When we have a tendency to conflate history, right? and then of course in some ways people try to sanitize the history, but that anti-Semitism was very real. You know, we had a Bund here, the German Bund here in Milwaukee, and I think people kind of missed that in terms of everything that was going on in Germany, and how people. I said shouldn't be astounded, but I was astounded by when I remember the story of the St. Louis and how it was just emblematic of where people were. And so you get to Milwaukee. Did you go to Washington?
I went to Shorewood. Actually,
Shorewood. Okay.
I went to grade school, Maryland Avenue, and then we had moved to we got a house in the Bay, and we first we lived in Shorewood, and then we went to Whitefish Bay, and I went to grade school, high school at Shorewood, and then I went to the University of Milwaukee for 3 years, and then transferred to Madison, where I had 1 year undergraduate school and then law school.
So it understanding that struggle. Let's do this. You had expressed your condolences for the loss of Mr. Gerald Jones. Talk about
first I want to give you my condolences about Gerald. I knew him well. He actually was a client of mine. What happened in 1963? We go back that far. Calvin Sherrard and the Negro American Labor Council in Milwaukee, and they were working to try and get. For African Americans, you were always in the back room if you had a job at all when you worked at the AMP. You didn't have any opportunity to get any of the meat cutter jobs, those kind of things. And you had to fight the union because the union was anti-black. You had very few blacks that were hired altogether to begin with. But the protest that they went out for was to try and get some really good paying jobs for African Americans. Police arrested the whole picket line. Gerald Jones was on the picket line, and I represented him. Of course, the case got dismissed. But the harassment accomplished what they wanted to do.
And so we were talking, and I wanted to, as we move forward, then in 1967, 1968, you represented would have been the Commandos, the Youth Council, Father Grappi?
That's correct. He got me involved as his lawyer when he first started protesting against the Eagles Club, because they had the Caucasian membership only restrictions. So African Americans couldn't get into the Eagles, any fraternal organizations. Milwaukee was hyper segregated. I don't have to tell you.
Was Orville Pitts?
It's awful, you know.
But Orville Pitts was he the first one they offered after you all had challenged them?
Orville Pitts?
Yeah. For the Eagles Club. I'm trying to remember.
He may have been. I didn't even. Did he actually get membership?
I don't know if they offered it to him. I don't know if he ever got the membership.
Well, I know that they never got rid of the restriction.
Okay.
They kept it in place as Caucasians only.
Mm-hmm.
Now Orville, being a boxing champion that he was, they may have made an exception to let him come in. But they weren't letting any African Americans in. Little background. 62. I started practicing Milwaukee with Lloyd Barbie. It was Barbie and Jacobson, and it was that whole period of time in the 60s that Lloyd and I took on all the activists in the Milwaukee community whenever they got arrested. We always did our work pro bono. We never got paid for anything we did. We did it because it was in our soul that we wanted to fight for the rights of people to have human dignity and opportunity. Really, that was the lesson I learned from my getting out of Nazi Germany and surviving. I was one of the youngest that ever got out of Nazi Germany. Holocaust survivors, the Auschwitz, the gas chambers, the 6 million Jews that got murdered. There's only 250,000 of us left in the whole world. And when you get to the passengers on the St. Louis, you're down to about 15 left of us. Everybody's dying off. Getting back, though, to your question about Father Grappy. So after he got done with them, that's when he first got me involved when they were out there picketing Cannon, who was the judge that they took on. All the judges that were in these clubs that had restrictive membership were African American Jews and Puerto Rican, Spanish, anybody that wasn't white couldn't get into these kind of clubs. You know, I don't even know why anybody wants to be in that kind of a club, but you ought to have the opportunity if that's what you're into. So after the Eagles demonstrations, then we had the riots in '67, and that's when he talked to Val Phillips, and she had the housing bills always in Milwaukee that got defeated to get fair housing for African Americans to be able to live wherever they wanted to. And there were the 200 nights that they had marches from the Freedom House that Grappy had to the south side. And I don't have to tell you folks, many of you participated in those marches. And I'm telling you, when you saw the white response with what they were throwing at people and, had rocks, bricks, you had, it was just a physical, violent response that Grappy and the marchers received. And I was marching with them because I was a lawyer and I would take care of any problems that came up. So we had a couple major cases came out of those housing marches that I was involved in. Father Grappy got arrested for disorder. Dick Gregory got arrested. He came into town. He's a humanitarian comedian.
I was at the rally at St. Boniface. My mom took us. Yeah.
Then you probably, a lot of folks probably remember all those kind of things.
No, I think that
and participated.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and this is one of the stories they say is that when Dr. King was assassinated, where there were riots every place, wasn't here in Milwaukee. As a matter of fact, they had a peace march. It was 15,000 people showed up for that march.
I remember that.
Yeah, we so we had this very vibrant civil rights. And then when I was doing some research and about that, I think African Americans only made up about 10% of the population during that time. Obviously, bigger percentage now. So it wasn't, and it almost seemed like a contradiction because in many ways they said that we have one of the most vibrant black middle classes in the country, yet we were still dealing with issues of redlining, housing discrimination, covenants, which prevented people from selling their houses to blacks and Jews. It's not that long ago, when we think so. Then we move forward. You mentioned you were part of the Bell case, the Daniel Bell case.
Yeah, I was the lead counsel. They actually hired me. That 58 was very interesting. I came here in 62 after I graduated practice with Barbie and Calvin Sherrard. When they had the killing in 58, the community, the African American community, they knew that it was a killing that was a setup, that the cops and the enforcement people were going to get a conviction. And what they claimed was that Daniel Bell had a knife and he ran from his car. He was stopped because he was supposed to have a bad taillight. I don't have to tell a lot of folks listening to this that when they go after you to make their quota for tickets that they got to issue, they come up with these taillights are out or some minor kind of thing that if it even existed. Anyway, he didn't have a driver's license, so Daniel panicked and he ran, and the cop chased him, ended up putting a gun right up against his neck in the back, shot him, planted a knife, made it look like self-defense. At that time, we didn't know the police department here with Harold Breyer. Harold Breyer was like Bull Connor. He was racist as could be, terrible police officer. Police department was racist as could be. Very few African Americans even were working in the police department.
They could only work in black communities.
Yeah, it was just horrendous what they did. So what happened with Bell? They had an inquest, and of course the inquest was all white cronies of the guy that appointed them to hear the case about whether Daniel Bell, the cops were claiming it was justified because of self-defense. Of course, that's what the inquest jury came down with as a decision, and that was the story. The way they started. The shooting was supposed to be from 27 feet, and then it changed to 6 feet and a knife slashing. And then it ended up when they sent the coat that Daniel was wearing, the crime lab, and there was residue on the back showing that it was gunpowder from a shot from a gun that had to be right in the collar, right behind his neck, where the cop put that gun and shot him and killed him. And there was Sherrard, there weren't a lot of African Americans that would protest in those days. And then Sherrard was one of the few. When I came here in 1962 and represented the Negro American Labor Council, he told me the story about Daniel Bell. He was still upset about it, talking about how the community really didn't rise up the way they should have to protest what had happened. Sherrard was probably the most militant in those days in the African American community, trying to get the police department shaped up and that racism exposed that they were doing. What are they going to talk about with that planting of the knife? They had in the police training school, this Sprague, Captain Sprague, or I believe he was the captain. He was in charge, and what they would tell the trainees, the cops, when they were being told how to handle situations. If you ever shoot anybody in the African American, carry what's called a throwaway. What's a throwaway? It's a knife, and they put it right in their boot. And then they were told, what you do if you shoot him, you take that knife and you put it in their hand and you claim self-defense. And that's what they were doing. So it was just awful. And
there's a few minutes left. How, in your book, you talk about, but in particular, you represented the families of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. I think 8 of those families, correct?
Yeah.
How did you become involved with that?
Well, I got the call. It was the Miller family. Stanley called me first. He was the uncle of Ernest, who was one of the victims. And he came and he wanted to retain me. Now, I'm going to tell you the way it is. That's the kind of guy I am. The families were looking for deep pockets. They were smart. They knew if they were going to sue for their loved one. Jeffrey Dahmer claimed he didn't have 2 nickels to it. So they tried to always involve the city. That was the deep pocket. Only the Asian victim, Conrad, yeah.
Conrad.
Yeah, since his phone, he's the only one that successfully was able to bring a lawsuit.
That's because of the interaction with the police.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, the cops, some African American women witnessed Jeffrey Dahmer, one of his lovers with victims. The one that got lobotomized. He figured once he lobotomized them that he would never wake up again, and went out and tried to get a 6-pack. So what happened is the victim woke up, went out on the street naked, and was bleeding from the butt. And these African American women, they saw him, and when the police came, they told the police he doesn't even look like he's old. He wasn't even 18.
Was it that was Glenda Cleveland?
I'm sorry?
Is that Glenda Cleveland?
Yes, exactly. And they were, how cops are. They never want African American, believe them anyway. So they ended up letting Jeffrey Dahmer take this victim back to his apartment, and they didn't arrest him. And of course, then he murdered him after that. That case was okay. So getting back to my involvement with, so Stanley, it ended up the family did finally be. I said I would only sue Jeffrey Dahmer. I didn't think that the city you could win cases where there wasn't a situation like what happened with that Asian victim.
And did we have on the we had the before was properly known as the son of Sam law that says that if the perpetrator of the crime would profit from it, like write a book, then the victims of the crime then could sue, right?
But that law was already, it had been declared unconstitutional.
Okay.
So just shortly before this all happened, that law was declared unconstitutional. So murderers then could profit off their crimes after that again. Though Dahmer, he claimed he believed that you still couldn't profit. So he wasn't going to write a book or do anything like that. He didn't have to. His father did it, Lionel. Lionel wrote the book to make the money. He didn't want the victims to get a nickel. He wanted to. He talked the talk. Oh, if I could, I would, and all that kind of nonsense. You know how it is. We sympathize. We would if we could, but they never end up doing anything, and they end up figuring out a way they can profit off of these situations.
And I think you talked about how there's that intersection of homophobia, racism, that many of the victims were Black queer men, and just how we looked at it. And the question would have been, well, had that been, we saw the situation with John Wayne Gacy, right?
Yeah.
Where you had that situation. So, and it was when I heard, I thought about this. I was in Milwaukee when this was happening. I was here during the riot. I had never. It seemed like it was such a dark pale over this city. I mean, you could feel it. How could it happen here? There was a lot of emotions. I had an opportunity a few years ago to talk to a young lady who she did a novel, and it was based on this woman and her reaction to Jeffrey Dahmer and what Jeffrey Dahmer had done. But I told her it was a dark period. I mean, I don't know why it felt the way it felt, but it did,
I think the period 1958, Daniel Bell started it. It woke up in the Milwaukee community.
Ernie Lacy.
For the whole community, I think, felt, the injustices of racism. And that's, it had to stop. You had to protest it. You had to do something about it. And young African Americans did. You had CORE with John Givens. They were protesting. I mean, you had Sherrard gave up. He left Milwaukee in 1965. He just felt that this community, that the folks just weren't going to be militant enough to object to the kind of racism that they were being subjected to. But that period, you're right, Keith, it was a dark period in Milwaukee. It was. And it went through 1968, right up. That was the period, the 1960s, when people really were in Milwaukee, the African American were waking up and hitting the streets and trying to make some of these injustices change.
Well, I know certainly we got to Ernie Lacy and the mobilization then in the community in terms of a very different response. But even in the backdrop there, you'd always hear Daniel Bell, right? You'd always hear Ernie Lacy and then be Daniel Bell. And there were many, many others that didn't make the news that we knew. My uncle who used to, he was a wino, and he had a lot of interactions with law enforcement. And it was my uncle who told me about the elevator ride down at the safety building, right? Where they stop between floors, right?
You got it.
Beat you up. And then when you got to the tier, they said, oh, he fell.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, my uncle, he took a couple of them because, he just.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. So when you think about it, man, and you wrote the book, when you were talking about when they came to your family home in Germany and the Gestapo, the SS, part of me feels like that's going on now with ICE.
You are so right. I mean, just look, and folks, they asked me, what can we do about Trump? What can we do about the problems in this country that he's generating, picking up all these immigrants, destroying the family units, taking the men out, picking up these people that take care of all the farmland in Wisconsin. You go to the different farming communities where you used to have people come in from Mexico. A lot of the immigrants that came to the U.S. did that because they took kind of jobs that nobody else wanted. I mean, you look at some of the homes of wealthy people. You got people, that they're picking up people. Who's taking care of your babies? Who cleans your home? Who takes care of your yard and does your lawn work and all these awful jobs that these immigrants are willing to do in this country, and that's who's being targeted. And the economic loss to this country that's caused by these deportations that are going on now. But it's really how cruel it's being put into effect. So what do you do about it? You got to do what the folk did in the 60s. You got to hit the streets. You got to protest. Do it violently. Don't do anything violent, because then you become, the target, and nobody thinks about what you're trying to do when you're protesting and want change and have the right thing happen. People are treated with dignity. So whatever you do, but you got to do something. You got to speak out. Don't be silent. Don't be afraid. There's strength in numbers. The only way that you can be defeated is if you can be isolated and if you're fearful and you don't stand up for yourself. So I'm telling you, there are folk like me that are willing to still, I may be up there in years, but I still got my lawyer license, and I'm ready to defend any groups that go out there and raise Cain and trying to do the right thing and protest what's happening now. I mean, we're in that dark time now. I mean, look, I lived in Nazi Germany. I know what happened. It happened in increments, but what happened there, it looks like it's going on here. We're becoming authoritarian. Next will be fascism. So, you got to get it together and don't be fearful. Stand up for yourself and for what your rights are. And if you don't do it, don't think anybody else is going to help you. So you get together in numbers and do your protesting. I mean, we just had last weekend that big demonstration when Trump had the military out there celebrating his birthday. It was costing us what? I don't know. That parade was like $50 million or whatever. I mean, it's absurd what's going on. Trump, what amazes me about him is everything is done and you can see him do it, and he tells you he's going to do it. He told you he's going to take a gift of a plane of $400,000, and we're paying for it, the folk, tax dollars, and then they're going to refurnish that plane and it cost another $1 billion. They just came out with a report that with his crypto plan that he does, he made $1 billion off of that. I mean, the man, he's taken the presidency, and anything that happens with his transactionalism, either you put money in his family's pocket or you can forget. I mean, it's outrageous. And he told us he was going to do it, and he elected him anyway. 50% of this country elected Trump. I couldn't believe it. He did with those kind of numbers. What is going on out here, folks? Wake up. If you want your freedom, if you want freedom of speech, the basics, you got to get rid of that kind of a person in the presidency and put somebody in. And I don't know who we're going to have, but when next time comes around, if there is even an election, with Trump, he's got the Justice Department. That's like his private law firm now. He's got control of the Congress. He's got all the levers of power. The only thing that's left for us, and we're only 6 months into his term. I mean, it's outrageous. Okay.
Let me thank Attorney Thomas Jacobson, the author of the book Underdog Against All Odds, to fight for justice.
I want to thank you for giving me this
We want to
opportunity.
thank you. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if they can still call 414-444-4444.
That's not the right number anymore.
We're going
You
to take
gotta
a quick
get me.
break.
I'm in Los Angeles.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. And as you know, this weekend we have the Grantsville Blues and Gospel Fest.
No,
Next weekend.
right,
Next weekend? Oh,
right,
okay.
right.
Y'all would have been showing up and nobody would have been there. But we have on the line with us Mr. Mike Wheeler. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. As old school say, all right. I'm doing all right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to be part of the jazz. What is the blues gospel fest?
I think it's R&B and blues.
R&B blues.
Yeah, it's actually there is actually a gospel component, but it is kind of
That's a different thing.
off to the side. But it happens that Saturday night. The gospel does the Saturday all day. So Mike, you're here.
Okay.
You're here Friday, right?
Correct.
And first off, what's been happening with Mike Wheeler?
I'm not now, man. Just working and doing what we do. And end of the month we're going over to Europe for a month, so you're getting ready for that.
How's my bass player doing, man?
He doing fine, man.
Still dancing?
He's still there.
That's the bass player you like, Keith.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry Williams.
Larry, yeah, he never stops moving. Just gone.
Uh-huh.
So I know that typically you well, let me ask you this because I always wanted to find out from you what style of blues do you consider yourself to be, and who would you pattern yourself after? Have you pattern yourself after?
I would consider us more of like a blues, R&B, and funk like that. And
Yeah, because I mean,
I patterned myself after a bunch of people, man, like Buddy Guy, BB, Robert Cray. I like some of everything. So,
because when in watching your performance, you get a little of all of it when you play, and that's the beauty of watching the Mike Wheeler band is because you don't blues me till you lose me, but you give me a little of that, then you take me over here. You might hear some Bobby, you might do some BB, then you turn around and do some Prince.
Yeah.
So it's like, go ahead.
Those are all the things that inspired me to play music, man. And being a musician, you always incorporate what you like and what you feel fits your certain band, your band.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me we just lost Sly Stone. What did you think of him, or did he have impact on your music?
Major impact. He his song "If You Want Me to Stay" was the first song I learned how to play on guitar.
Is that right?
That's correct. And I'm a vinyl record collector, and the first record I bought when I was like 10 years old was a Family Affair.
Yes, sir.
First 45.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when I ended up having to get, because I had to buy the whole album, but Sex Machine. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, so many good ones, man. James Brown did Sex Machine after him, but he did it first. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did his version.
Right. So what do you how do you look at today when you look at that style of music? I was just listening to After 7, and they did a Adele song. That song had to be over 50 years. So when you 50 years
Maybe
old,
I'm For Real, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you, when you think about that music, what do you think why is it so timeless? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
Well, it was great groups, great producers, and great songwriters. And, the good songs never die. And then, it just, when you hear it today, it takes you back to that day. You can remember what you were doing. Like, I'm a big P-Funk fan. I remember I was like 12 years old. I was in Mississippi. My mother took me to Mississippi where she grew up at. And I heard Funkadelic Cosmic Slop at 12. And that changed my whole life. So, it's timeless music, man. But the music they making today for these kids, it's gonna be timeless for them too. So,
yeah, I was talking to my buddy. We were talking about the Isley Brothers and how, when they did what Twist and Shout, that's like 58, 59, something like that. And it was kind of a hard, funky. But then by the time we got to like the late 70s, they got real melodic, right?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Right. And they got rockish when they did when they did Who's That Lady, featuring Ernie on the guitar.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they always adapted, man. Not only did they adapt, they set the trend.
Yeah. I was back in the day.
Remember that Todd Rundgren piece they did?
Hello, it's me.
Oh,
Hello, it's me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can remember back in the day though. I was working at a playground here in the city. This had to be like 1980, 81, and when you talked about the Isley Brothers, they more like 70s. These young folks, man, they was rocking the Isley Brothers. I mean, that's just how timely. So I think when you talk about that music, R&B, funk, that the good stuff is just timeless.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny you talked about great songwriters. I'm a big Linda Creed fan. She just wrote great songs, man. And people like Norman Whitfield. Is that Whitfield?
Yeah, Norman Whitfield.
Whitfield. There are people out there that would just write songs. And even today, I would even say like Babyface.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So when folks come, what can they expect, man? You gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
Yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of that. We don't try to make them dance like we always do. So we start our thing off. We don't start off going straight to it, but we build it up and then try to get them up dancing and having a good time.
You been to Milwaukee before?
Oh, this is like I think this is like the 5th or 6th time we've done this festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And each time it's always a joy to see your band, and I didn't know Larry from Adam, but we developed relationships down through the years. So it's always good to have you guys come back and play this festival,
Well, it's always an honor, man. Milwaukee, it's like being at home, I got family there, and I've been coming there since I was a little boy.
We'll find out. I'm going to put a brewer hat on you. What you think about that?
Man, I had as a hat, too.
Yeah, okay, sure. You better not go back across state line.
When it comes to business, now, it'd be different if you talk about that green.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I knew.
That's different.
That's what I was getting ready to go. Right.
I got a helmet for you.
Yeah, man.
Hey, it's all love, man.
You can't buy any green and gold now, from Kenosha South, and you can't buy any Bear Blue and Orange from Kenosha North, right? I mean,
you know what? I'm gonna tell you something that I noticed when I went to Minneapolis. I flew in Minneapolis, and at the airport they had a Green Bay Packers store. I said that'll never happen in Chicago.
Well, because they're so close to right on that border there, so there's a lot of those folks. Because you can go to a Viking game and a third of the crowd could be Green Bay Packer fans because they just go across the border, man. But you know what I miss? I just miss that the Brewers we're in the National League now. Because I've missed the White Sox coming up here. Man, when the White Sox come to Milwaukee, like the Cub fans are so nice. They spend money, the whole thing. Not the Sox fans. Sox fans came up here, man. It'd be on and cracking, dude.
Yeah, but y'all be whooping them every game.
The poor White Sox, man.
It's sad right now.
I know it is sad,
right.
Man.
Hey, man, how's Carlise and Greg and Mark and everybody doing?
All of them, they doing fine. I was just with them for Blues Fest weekend down at Buddy's, and they all doing good.
Okay, good to hear. Well, I mean, we don't want to take up all of your time, man. We certainly appreciate you taking time with us and holding on the line until we could get to you and all of that great stuff. So what do you want to say to Milwaukee before you get here this weekend?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that, hey, man, we don't take for granted the honor it is to come and play for you guys, and we hope everybody come out and have a great time, because that's what we're going to be trying to do.
All right. Once again, the Mike Wheeler Band, Mr. Mike Wheeler on the line with us. Keith, go ahead.
Oh, man, we appreciate you. And again, we're part of the Granville Blues and Jazz Fest here in the city. Man, look forward to seeing you.
Let's do it.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right, you guys.
All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
The bed. You and Keith are getting out of the bed.
No, brother. The music is about to stop. Make it clear, brother, because we came back on the air, and we don't want nobody thinking me and Keith was getting out the bed. Well, separate times and separate rooms and separate houses, brother.
I just
so
heard
that
you
might
say
be that might be avoidable. Yeah, I mean separate houses, separate beds at separate times, brother. Make it clear. You know, Debo.
And Jermaine, I don't know if I told you, brother.
What's that?
I love you, man.
Ooh. Johnny Taylor say everything out in the open.
I told you, brother.
But I love you.
I love you, man.
Hey, man, listen here.
Yeah,
See,
and I don't know if I got that, man, because again, I was telling Jermaine on the break, I was watching Wayne's World.
Oh yeah.
And remember that dude kept going, I love you. I said, yeah, no. I love you. Oh, Attorney Jacobson, man. Oh my God, boy! I tell you, once you get him started, man,
he was like as Jermaine said, old Buick.
Oh man!
But once you got him going,
got him going, you know, and it would have been great to have him and Pastor Elwinger. Again, a person who's been part of that whole civil rights movement. Yeah. But to talk about Lloyd Barbie, and I didn't realize that him and Lloyd Barbie were law partners. It was a different time. He's right. It was a very, 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 very different time. But you know, times are, you know. Yeah. But it seems like the more things change, the more they stay the same. He is a person who escaped Nazi Germany, and to be able to, you know, though he was 6 months old, kind of understand that and see some of the things. So when we're seeing people right now, and if I don't know what the devil looks like, but he sure looked like Stephen Miller to me. This dude, I mean, and here's the thing. I don't know how much of this is distraction. I don't know how much what we're dealing with Israel and Iran is wag the dog, where you're trying to divert attention from something else, and then you put it over here, and so you start a war. Yeah. Look. This idea that he was sitting up there contemplating, Trump knew he was going to support Israel. Israel would not have made that move unless he would have been able to say, because all Americans said if you would have made the move, you won't be able to operate the Iron Dome, right? And those missiles are going to hit Tel Aviv and all these other places. Yeah. So but to be able to see where now you're going in. So Stephen Miller, they put a memo out. Where I had you Joe Madison said always listen with a third ear. So they put a memo out saying that they were not going to raid meatpacking places, farms, hotels where you have undocumented labor. They weren't going to do it because they were getting complaints from the business interests saying the impact it would have on their bottom line. And then, less than 24 hours later, though they haven't rescinded the memo, they said, no. They still want to do 3,000. But here's what, and maybe. They said they wanted 3,000 arrests. But 3,000 arrests a day is not the same as deporting 3,000 people a day. Yeah. So you're able to get in at one point and say you're up, because I think they averaged at about 2,000. Yeah. And they said unless they're able to hit those meat packing places. But this idea that you can marginalize other people. Now, the whole little cover they have is, well, they're here and they're undocumented. Okay, you got all of that. But the other piece of that is our economy is somewhat dependent on that labor. That's what Attorney Jacobson was saying. So there are things, we were talking yesterday. Look, there's a reason why when black people moved from Mississippi to Wisconsin, that they weren't buying farms. Yeah. Okay, if they had the money, they weren't buying farms because they were doing forced farming. And the backbreaking work, I was watching these folks, and I don't know if what it was, these pictures, and they show people picking cotton, but in a row. And I don't know if you've ever been, but then they also show people with holes on their shoulders going to chop cotton. So for a lot of black folks working in the field, because you literally could. I guess I got paid pretty well because I got paid $7 for 12 hours of work. And so when people out there, and I was chopping cotton in the summertime, one day. So when we look at it, what's going on, and maybe maybe we should just focus on what's happening now, and try, and me anyway, stop trying to understand what's the end game of all of this, because I don't know what the end game is to all of this. But yeah, man, it's America. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Okay, so hopefully tomorrow morning when we're setting up for Juneteenth, the rain will gotten through, and we'll be able to have an enjoyable Juneteenth day. In terms of the weather, it looks like it's going to cooperate. And so, yeah, Juneteenth. Juneteenth. Let's see. Anything going on? Oh, man. You know what? Caitlin Clark. I don't know if she's the golden calf. I don't know if you watched the game last night.
No, is that the game that they almost got to fighting in?
Yeah, almost.
Now, I do think that on that layup, the young lady was almost clotheslined and threw to the floor, but she, that's what started it on the other end. Well, after the chick pushed her.
I think, everybody's been focusing on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of women, black and white, that are very jealous and envious and do not like Caitlin Clark. Because I don't know when you saw when the girl Mabry came and took her out, just and then looked at her like.
But wasn't that after Caitlin hit the three and started talking crazy to her?
No, that was before that.
That was before.
That's why she was talking crazy.
Oh, okay.
And the woman she's talking crazy to was the one that is, kind of hit her in the face.
Yeah.
And that's what started all of that.
Yeah.
But that girl Mabry came out of nowhere and she hit her boom. She went down hard.
Yeah.
And then I can't believe she's still in the game.
So that was the black girl.
No.
So what happened when the black girl came and then Caitlin fell?
That was Natasha Howard trying to pull somebody back, but she didn't fall because of Natasha.
Oh, okay.
She fell because of Mabry.
Oh, okay.
Mabry, okay. I don't even know where she came from. All of a sudden, you saw Clark on the floor, and you saw her looking down at her like, okay.
Yeah, man, I think it's personal going.
Oh, man, because I think they're envious, and I understand that. Like, they're really envious of where she is.
Yeah.
She, they just showed that the games that they put on television, she's not playing. Doesn't get the same pub, and then I think last night they sold out the arena. They always do wherever she travels. They sell out. Yeah. So that's good. I guess that's good for the brand. I mean, and I think the women are probably better fighters than these dudes, because I don't know if you've ever seen a fight in the NBA.
Well, I mean, I saw that one fight. I don't know if it was the NBA or if that was the world game that when Thon Maker and his squad, I think that was the FIBA game when Thon Maker and his squad was fighting, and Thon Maker came flying in with that kick that and they was just swinging like they were swimming in water.
Well, he number one pick of the Bucks.
Not number one, but he was
picked by the Bucks, right?
Because he was projected to be pretty good. But I heard that his brother is way better than him. Yeah, way better than Thon. But Thon Maker, like, he was looking good before he came to us. But I was geeked when we drafted him.
He was looking good until he got to the pros. Okay.
Yeah.
Happens every day.
I was geeked with him.
Happens every day. He was really good until he got to the pros. Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program. Christian Leitner. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you.
Harold Miner.
Oh, yeah. Baby Jordan.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was listening to you about that immigration thing going on. I'm disappointed in the NAACP and listening to the commercial and the ad. They talk about the conglomerate of minorities leaving the actual foundation in which that program was founded, that organization was founded, and they brought in a conglomerate of people, man, that really don't do much for the advancement of the black man. They've allowed everybody else to come into that group, and they wouldn't allow this Donald Trump to come in. That shows you how out of tune they is. Because
wait, whoa. The fact that they're not inviting Donald Trump, the first president since 1909, to not receive an invitation, they invited him in his first term. So what didn't happen? I'm glad they came to themselves. I'm a member of the NAACP. I applaud it and I support it.
Member. I haven't paid my dues in a while, and I'm not going to.
Okay, well, I'm a proud member of the NAACP.
What are you a proud member for? What have they did?
What do you mean? What have they did?
I mean, what have they did lately? Come on now, don't fight me now. Let's have a conversation.
Well, they didn't invite Donald Trump to the national convention.
So that's what they did.
If you ain't done nothing else, you've done enough.
Hold on, check this out.
You've done enough for me.
Hold on, brother. Why wouldn't you invite a guy? We ain't gonna never get this chance again. Once Donald Trump is gone, it's gonna be back to the book, brother. It's gonna be back to business as usual. And we didn't even have a chance. We don't have a chance.
So let me ask this question. So you're saying things are better now for black folks because Donald Trump is in office?
No. What I'm saying is that.
Then what's the difference?
Well, can I share?
Okay.
What I'm saying is we have an opportunity in these next 3 years to achieve something.
What?
Well, it depends. Whatever. Get some laws changed. I would like to see the Caroline Brandt. That's what we sent a letter to right now. We want to get that Caroline Brandt. Bryant law. We get the way we got it wrote down. We want that. We want to see that because that's a real Emmett Till law right there. That lady lied, and that method is still being used today, where women and men lie, bear false witness on people. They get killed. Somebody gonna get killed tonight because some girl gonna say, "Dude, push me to the side. He didn't bother me, baby. He called him out," and it really didn't happen. And the guy gonna get killed tonight because of that same thing.
I want to
get
back to something that you said in terms of opportunity. Now, first of all, if that law is based on that white woman who lied in the Emmett Till trial, I don't know if there's many Republican sympathetic ears to even want to pass that law. They won't even let you pass an anti-lynching law.
Hold on, brother. Well, they hold on. Let me explain something to you. We don't have to worry about an anti-lynching law. That's drag. The Black Caucus that we have that's very much active in the NAACP got that bill passed with Joe Biden. That was a tiger. That was a toothless tiger, man. We don't need no anti-lynching bill like that. We already got hate crimes on the book. We need a law that goes target right after this kind of stuff. We don't need some little.
And let me
very good moment.
Let me say this. They had this meeting of the Support of Religious Freedom Committee that Trump has put together. And the interesting piece of it was the only people represented in that group were white evangelicals, right? There weren't any black.
I got a reason for that.
Kojic, there was no Muslims, there was no Buddhists. It was basically white Christian nationalists.
Okay, I got a reason for that.
What's the reason?
The reason is that most people, clergy people, blacks, right now is standing down because they don't want the press back at home in their church. They don't want the negativity. And a lot of them, frankly, is scared to lose membership.
So you're saying that, you're saying that there are black religious leadership that's supportive of Trump, but they won't come out and say they're supportive of Trump?
Of course. You can look at some churches around here.
I know some very, very conservative black preachers, and they can't stand Trump.
Well, let me explain this to you. Right now, you won't have another opportunity, Doc, to fool around and even and get close to the white folk like you can do now. If you said our black caucus is hanging us out to dry, they got us following our black leaders right now. Instead of getting to the table, trying to do something like the Mexicans is trying to do.
How many black people are part of Trump's cabinet? Trump's
intersection? Don't make a difference.
It does make it. You just saying how black people would have access to white people.
I'm not into symbolism. I'm into making stuff happen, man.
Well, it is symbolic because they only put them over HUD and there are no more black people.
Can I say this to you? What we need to do, it ain't what we need to do, what you should do. You know, I'm talking about our black leaders, black caucus. That's sold us down the road, man. And you talk about those fields from the South. Well, there was probably millions of acres that Negroes owned in the 20s. Now you probably ain't got 3 million acres that's owned by blacks. And I happen to be one of those proud owners. You know, I'm not going to let that go. But I'll tell you this right here. We as black people are allowing our supposedly leaders and caucus people to leave us right now in no man's land. We're sitting in no man's land. We can't go to the Republicans because we don't support them. We go to the Democrats, they don't do nothing for us. Where does that leave me and you, man?
I think the Dems have done. I think the Dems have done more.
What have they did?
Okay, they've done more for black folks. This dude
don't want to do.
They
done did, man. They gave you
this dude don't want to do anything for black folks.
They gave you Juneteenth to nationalize it, and now it doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to LGBTQ. It belongs to everybody now. It's not a Juneteenth.
Wait.
Everybody's is going with that now. Tell me what they done gave us.
All right, man. They gave. Well, first of all, the fact that they made Juneteenth into a national holiday in Milwaukee, it was always our holiday. So,
right.
You know, and we don't need necessarily white. That's great that you give us that day and people can take off and great. That's all. But Juneteenth is symbolic of something that we have yet to achieve, which is.
But I want you to tell me what have they gave us?
What did they give us?
What have the Democrats did for Negroes? And I'm going to be sitting here listening until the end of your show. I'm going to get off right now.
Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act.
The Civil Rights. Hold on, we talking 50 years ago.
Well, you just
look here. Ronald Reagan gave you the King's Holiday in the 80s. At least you can bring it up that quick, can't you?
Yeah, well,
you can't bring it no nearer than that.
He brought that back. He did that kicking and screaming. Because they were able to, if he didn't sign the bill,
deal.
If he did sign the bill, they had enough votes in Congress. They had enough votes in Congress. It was going to be a national holiday, whether he signed the bill or not. And he was resistant.
I need
for
you
signing
to do
the
this
bill.
here. Give me something that they did recently that me and you and our kids and grandkids and nieces and nephews will be able to enjoy in the future.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
And
I'll look it up.
Thank you, brother.
All right, appreciate you. We get the last caller, and I got to go. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, Keith, how's it going?
You don't have to. I know you want to, and I only got 2 minutes left, so you don't have to.
Oh, I don't have to?
No, you don't have to, because I know what you're going to do, but you don't have to.
I promise not to say people's names, but what I'll say is anybody who thinks $17 billion to educate future judges, lawyers, and politicians who are much more qualified than any black MAGA would vote for, like Jasmine Crockett, is insane and, again, part of a cult who has drank the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. So I'm gonna leave that, and then maybe tomorrow. Are you on there tomorrow?
No, man.
You're gonna be at
Black People Day. No,
we can't mention you know who on Friday.
Right.
So we're gonna say we'll pray for that small 8% who is still believing in this cult, the Confederate cult, who has signed 200 executive orders, none for black people,
none,
and who love black kids and hired no black people. But who's gonna win the game tomorrow?
Indiana, man, because it's gonna go 7, man.
Yeah,
Gotta go
it's the first
7.
time of year where we all
Conspiracy with a Q. Gotta go 7. We got
I'm
NBA got to make some money, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope they win tomorrow and get blew out game 7.
What they play? What, Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah.
So they play
The next
Thursday
one will
then
be
Sunday.
Sunday. That's awesome.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, but we'll pray for that lost brother and hope he don't wear that clock in his hat for the retired Prince of
Flavor
Prince.
Flav.
I've gone a week without saying his name. Next week I'll let him have it. Respect.
All right, man. You get a
God
tip.
bless y'all.
All right. Appreciate you. Hey, we broadcasting live tomorrow, Devo?
Yes, we are.
What time?
Kicks off at 9 a.m. when the parade starts. We'll actually be sending you, as well as Michelle, a link where you'll be able to talk to the folks as you are progressing through the crowd. Hopefully the weather holds up. Then at 9 a.m. we'll be at Rise and Grind Cafe, complete with video, Facebook, YouTube, as well as audio. So some of us will be there, some of us will be here.
Let me thank Attorney Tom Jacobson. Let me thank Mr. Mike Wheeler. Devo, thank you as always.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Jermaine, don't push the button.
Happy Black People Day.
Happy Black People Day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Good Lord willing, creek don't rise. For Juneteenth.